I'm signing. As soon as I get signed, Mr. West said, hey, man, I just moved Vladdy. I don't know how I got this kid. I got a kid named Kobe Bryant. You and him, we gonna get multiple championships. And I remember him at 18 years old telling me he gonna be the Will Smith of the NBA. I was like, slow down, young fella. But he had a dream, he had a vision.
He got jiggy with it.
Yeah, he did.
Bel-Air.
Welcome back to the Matrix, a so-called world that was supposedly created by an imaginary deity that your eyes will never see. This system is designed and operated by aliens. Inside the system are so-called human beings, wired to function like computers, programmed through television programming, and social media. The system is made up of scripted stories, moving according to a timeline. These scripted stories consist of riddles from the past, present, and the future. The riddles are sneaky, subtle ways of the creator of this game, revealing to us life is scripted while also mocking you. The controllers of this so-called society feed each generation the same plots and storylines. The celebrities are the influencers who help shift culture forward with trends and agendas. Just different characters wearing mask of another character, but ultimately disguised as aliens.
Tinashe, the singer, she recently came out and said she regrets doing songs with Chris Brown and R. Kelly.
Yeah, well, Chris Brown is R. Kelly. That's what she's trying to say, but she can't say it. You know, it's the masks. It's the masks.
It's the masks.
It's the masks that we wear. And the person behind that mask right now is not the real Chris Brown, is what I'm saying.
One of the most popular characters, or better yet an actor, whose career was such a spectacle and has shined extremely bright on the world stage, was an NBA player by the name of Kobe Bryant. Kobe's career was full of riddles. Kobe's scripted life story and career paths has some connections with the actor Will Smith. Kobe Bryant was from Philadelphia like Will Smith. He would then be drafted to the NBA and traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe came to Los Angeles just like Will Smith in the popular sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. As shown in the beginning of this film, Will Smith, on the TV show Fresh Prince, moved to LA with his Uncle Phil. Kobe Bryant would then be coached by a coach named Phil Jackson, sharing the same name Phil, like Uncle Phil, from the show Fresh Prince. Kobe, in his early teens, would then step into acting like Will Smith, as he would make his first television appearance in the popular TV show Moesha. The lead character on the show Moesha was played by the American actress and singer Brandy. Kobe and Brandy once briefly dated, as Brandy accompanied Kobe to his high school prom. The interesting connection with Brandy and Kobe is the irony of how Brandy starred in the popular film Cinderella back in 1997, a fairy tale story about how a young girl who dreamed of attending the ball with the prince, similar to how Kobe's life is parallel with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But just how Kobe and Brandy attended the prom together back in 1996. The following year was the premiere of the film Cinderella. Brandy says she was very nervous and didn't attend her own prom. Brandy also stated the two had a romantic night. She stated she pecked Kobe twice, and his lips were so soft. Kobe and Brandy relationship would not continue after the night of the prom. It only lasted for one night, similar to the Cinderella story. However, Kobe would go on to appear in Brandy's show as a high school basketball star. The eerie correlation between Kobe and the show Moesha is that the show Moesha premiered back on January 23, 1996. Mysteriously, Kobe Bryant NBA career began when he was drafted in 1996. Kobe died January 26th, which was 3 days after the premiere of Moesha, after 24 years. Moesha went off the air May 14th, 2001. 14 in reverse is 41. Kobe's age at death. Just like the show, Moesha went off the air in May. Kobe's daughter Gianna Bryant was born in the month of May. As explained many times before on this channel, the elites famously do scripted events by the numbers and speak in codes. If you break down the date of the ending of the show Moesha, you get 5, 14, 20, 01. You have 5, which is May, Kobe's daughter birth month. If you reverse the 14, you get 41, and Kobe Bryant was 41 years old when he died. The year of Kobe's death was in 20, which is short for 2020, and it happened on 01, which was January, the month of Kobe's death. But speaking of the year 2001 and Kobe Bryant connection with Will Smith, back in 2001, Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers went up against a team whose state is where Kobe and Will was from, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. But speaking of Philly and Kobe's connection to Will Smith and the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Kobe Bryant died 4 months and 1 day after Will Smith's birthday. The TV show Fresh Prince ended in 1996, which is the year Kobe entered the NBA. Will Smith, on Fresh Prince, played for the school Bel-Air Academy. He wore the jersey number 14. 14 in reverse is 41. The connection of Kobe Bryant and Will Smith goes much deeper than the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But before we take this any further, speaking about the show Fresh Prince, mysteriously, the character Carlton Banks seemed to be based on the guy who the residential neighborhood Bel-Air in Los Angeles, California was originally named after, was once a wealthy man and a tennis player, Alfonso Bell. What's freakishly eerie is that the guy who plays the character Carlton on the TV show Fresh Prince shares the same name Alfonso with the guy who Bel-Air was originally named after. Alfonso Bell's birthday was September 29, 1875. Alfonso Ribeiro, who played the character Carlton, birthday is September 21st, 1971. If you subtract 1875 from 1971, which are the years both Alfonsos were born, you get 96, which was the year the show The Fresh Prince came to an end. "26 years later, a show titled Bel-Air, a reimagined version of the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, would premiere, starring a lead character who plays Will Smith, is a guy by the name Jabari Banks, and somehow has the last name Banks. which is the last names of the original characters. On the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the residential area Bel-Air was founded in the year 1923, and the lead character Jabari Banks was 23 years old during the release of the series Bel-Air. Also, Jabari Banks was born in Philadelphia, just like Will Smith. He also plays basketball and makes music as well. But going much deeper than the TV show Fresh Prince, Kobe Bryant's life off the court seemed to mirror Will Smith's scripts and films, which tied into other athletes' scripts and furthers other characters' riddles, such as in 1995, Will Smith starred in the action buddy cop film Bad Boys, with his castmate Martin Lawrence playing two characters by the name Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett, which the two became one of the greatest duos ever in film history. The film was based in Miami, Florida. The following year, 1996, was the beginning of a new pairing, the new Lakers duo, Shaq and Kobe. But what's funny is, in the film Bad Boys, the character Marcus had a line in the film where he got into somewhat of an argument with Mike Lowrey. He stated that everybody wanna be like Mike. Funny enough, Kobe was always a player criticized for trying to always be like Mike. Kobe shot 3 air balls in the Western Conference Finals, trying to be like Mike but failed. The Utah Jazz would defeat the Lakers, then advance to the 1997 NBA Finals to face off against MJ and the Bulls. Jordan, unlike Kobe, would hit the clutch shot to show Kobe how it's done, as Scottie Pippen would put his arm around Jordan, similar to how Shaq did Kobe. And in the following season, the Bulls would play the Jazz again in the NBA Finals, as MJ would hit 3 clutch shots down the stretch, showing Kobe again how it's done. The irony is, the film Bad Boys was about cops, and Shaq became a cop. But let's fast forward to the year 2003, which was the year of the premiere and new release of the second installment into the Bad Boy film series, titled Bad Boys 2. The storyline was about the Miami PD detectives, Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett, are investigating the flow of ecstasy into Miami. They infiltrate a Klan meeting. Mike and Marcus end up in a shootout with the Klansmen, with Marcus accidentally sustaining a gunshot wound to the butt from Mike. These antics lead Marcus to reevaluate whether he should remain partners with Mike, who is secretly dating Sid, Marcus' younger sister. And Marcus' younger sister so happened to be actress Gabrielle Union. But we'll go more in depth later about Gabrielle Union's significance to this riddle. But doesn't the Bad Boys 2 storyline sound all too familiar to an old basketball breakup story that we've once heard news about, which was the Shaq and Kobe feud? Kobe and Shaq had disputes. Like Marcus, Kobe was aggravated by Shaq's antics. Kobe ultimately decided that he didn't want to remain partners with Shaq any longer. But speaking of the title of the film Bad Boys, Kobe and Shaq's final season in 2004 were against the Pistons. And the Detroit Pistons were once a team in the 80s nicknamed the Bad Boys Pistons. Joe Dumars, who was once a player for the Bad Boy Pistons back in the 80s, was the head of basketball operations during the 2004 run to the championship. But do you want to know who else played a role in the film Bad Boys? John Sally, who was one of the key players of the Bad Boy Pistons era. He also played with Shaq and Kobe in 1999. But after losing to the Pistons, Shaq would then be traded to the Miami Heat to form another duo with Dwayne Wade, and Miami is where the film Bad Boys was based out of. But here's where the plot took a dark, twisted turn. Officer Shaq, who is known for his role in the 90s film Kazam, was a genie who had magical powers. He was also drafted by the Orlando Magic. But speaking of genie, Will Smith, early on in his career, once had a song titled Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble. The sample came from an old 60s themed tune, I Dream of Genie. And what's weird is that Shaq once played a genie that would join the Lakers, in which the owner of the Lakers had a daughter named Jeannie Buss. And let's not forget, just like Shaq once played for the Magic, like having supernatural magical powers, and once played a genie, then played under the rulership of an owner with a daughter whose name was Jeannie. Shaq would then take on the reins from the Lakers and continue the Magic from a player who was glamorized for his magical-like passes in Urban Magic Johnson, who wore the jersey number 32, the same jersey number Shaq wore with the Magic. But back to Shaq in Miami, he joined with his new sidekick, Dwayne Wade. Mysteriously, Shaq, who was once a part of one of the greatest duos with Kobe, and Kobe's connection to Will Smith. Will Smith starred in the film Bad Boys, in which the plot mirrored the story of Shaq and Kobe. Will Smith dated actress Gabrielle Union in the film Bad Boys 2. Shaq, after his feud with Kobe, was traded to the Miami Heat to join forces with budding basketball star Dwayne Wade. Ironically, Dwayne Wade began to date Gabrielle Union, who in 1995 once starred on the show Saved by the Bell as a character by the name Hillary, and right after that, on Moesha as a girl named Ashley. But what's even more weird is that the basketball player Dwayne Wade shares a name that is very much similar to an old 90s character from the show titled A Different World, and that's a character by the name Dwayne Wade. But as a cunning way of mocking the masses, they play right in the faces of those who aren't initiated within the so-called fraternity. For example, a popular sports media website called Bleacher Report covered a post-game interview of Dwayne Wade, who mysteriously decided to dress as the Different World actor Dwayne Wade and wore his signature glasses. The article says, Dwayne Wade goes to Different World with Dwayne Wade glasses. It says, this is now getting absurd. Dwayne Wade gave his press conference last night with a straight face, despite wearing a Dwayne Wade costume to the podium. For those uninitiated, I feel sorry for you, but pay attention to the wording. It says, there was once a special time in this world when A Different World was considered fine programming. But this is where true magic happens. It says, Wade is living out a lyric to one of Kanye West's songs, called Glory. 2 years Dwayne Wade became Dwayne Wade. These puzzling connections go a bit deeper than just basketball. Kadeem Hardison, who played the character Dwayne Wade on the show Different World, initially tried to pursue a relationship with Lena James, played by actress Jada Pinkett. Kadeem directed the Different World episode with Tupac and Jada. By his own admission, like Will Smith, he was extremely jealous of Pac and Jada's natural chemistry on screen. Years later in 1997, Kadeem appeared in the film The Sixth Man, alongside his castmate Marlon Wayans, who also appeared in the early 90s film above the rim with Tupac. Ironically, Marlon Wayans in the film Above the Rim starred alongside his close friend named Kyle, whose real name was Dwayne Martin. Marlon would end up killing Tupac in the film Above the Rim as revenge for humiliating him and for trying to have Kyle killed. Years later, Marlon would star in the film The Sixth Man. His love interest in the film was an actress named Moesha, who had pretty eyes and a butt chin like Jada Pinkett. Kadeem, who died in the film, would reappear as a ghost and supernaturally help his brother win games. Kadeem was jealous of his brother's girlfriend. Mysteriously, the woman who played Marlon Wayans' love interest in the film The Sixth Man was originally casted as Whitley on the show A Different World, who was the girlfriend of Dwayne Wade. However, the role was given to someone else due to legal disputes. Fast forward to 2001, she played the role of one of Will Smith's wives in the film Ali, along with Muhammad Ali's other wife played by Jada Pinkett. Jada also had a secret feud with actress Gabrielle Union. Many speculated that she was jealous of Gabrielle Union's great chemistry with her husband Will in the film Bad Boys 2. In 2018, Jada stated that her beef with Gabrielle Union happened 17 years ago, which makes the year 2001. She claims that it stemmed from a situation that happened when some writers were wanting to do a girlfriends show, and if we look at the timeline, the show Girlfriends came out right around that time 17 years ago. The writer of the show Girlfriends also wrote the series Being Mary Jane, featuring lead actress Gabrielle Union. Kadeem once appeared in the show Girlfriends, who had an affair with the woman with the female Lynn, who was once married to the character William. My theory is that the character Tony, played by the actress Jill Marie Jones, was based off the actress Gabrielle Union. Another character on the show, by the name Maya, didn't like Tony because of her ego-driven lifestyle. Tony was considered to be the shallow and popular one of the girlfriends, and is the self-proclaimed cute one of the group. During the first season, Tony and Maya didn't get along. She considered Maya to be a lower-class intruder. The character Tony describes Gabrielle Union's personality perfectly. If we rewind 10 years back to 1997, was the year of the release of the film The Sixth Man, starring Kadeem Hardison, who once starred as Dwayne Wade on the TV show A Different World. Kadeem starred alongside Marlon Wayans, who also has a brother by the name Dwayne Wayans, whose birthday is July 20th. Marlon's birthday is July 23rd, and Kadeem's birthday is July 24th. But back to Kobe Bryant and his connection to the actor Will Smith. Kobe Bryant fell in love with a Spanish woman who he's now married to by the name of Vanessa. Kobe, who was once a rapper early on in his career, met Vanessa on the set of a music video, which sounds very much familiar to the story of Will Smith and how he met the Spanish actress Eva Mendes, who starred alongside him in the movie Hitch. However, Will Smith met Eva way before the film Hitch, back in 1997 or 98, right around the same time Kobe met Vanessa. Will met Eva on the set of one of his music videos as well. But another connection to Will is Kobe being punched by Chris Childs, similar to how Will Smith smacked Chris Rock on stage in front of millions of people 22 years later, and 2 + 2 = 4. Will Smith smacked Chris Rock 4 days before April Fool's, and Chris punched Kobe 1 day after April Fool's. Both incidents took place in Los Angeles, California, so it's safe to say Chris rocked Kobe with a punch. But fast forward to 2009. Kobe had an encounter with Chris Rock, who was a lifelong Knicks fan. But Kobe ignored Chris, who tried to crack jokes on him. Kobe and Will both won Oscars. Other films, such as the movie Hancock, describes Kobe's personality perfectly. Hancock was a superhero-like figure, based out of Los Angeles, California, who many considered to be very standoffish and acts like an asshole. This was said to be how Kobe treated the press, and also how he acted towards his teammates. Another film, in which certain parts of the plot tells the story of Kobe's death, the film I Am Legend. The film was released in 2007, 1 year before the movie Hancock. The plot was about a contagious virus that wiped out most of mankind. The character, Neville, played by Will Smith, was the last man to survive, with other nocturnal humans. Will had his daughter, Willow Smith, in the film. In one scene, he reimagines her death in a dream, where she dies in a helicopter crash, which is exactly what happened to Kobe's daughter, Gianna Bryant, except she was with her father, instead of her mom. And just like in the film I Am Legend, in 2020, there was a so-called deadly coronavirus on the rise during Kobe's death. The exact date of the film release was 12/14/2007. It premiered 1 year after Gianna's birth, who was born in 2006. Kobe's daughter name is Gianna, and the correct way to pronounce the professional NBA player is Giannis, better known as the Greek Freak, which is the elite's grand rising into the masses venerating the ancient Greek religion, which is why Giannis liked Gianna, who was Kobe's daughter, and Kobe was like a father to Giannis, won the NBA championship 1 year after Gianna's death. But back to the film I Am Legend. The film I Am Legend premiered on the 14th of December, and if you reverse the number 14, you get the number 41, which was Kobe's age when he supposedly died. It was the 12th month of the year, a month before Kobe's death in January. 13 years later, Gianna died at 13, and the number 13 comes after 12, and before 14. Kobe's death occurred on the 26th of January. If you add the first month and day of the release of the film I Am Legend, 12 plus 14, it equals 26. In numerical order, the number 26 comes before the number 27. Gianna Bryant was born in 2006, and if you remove the two numbers in the year 2006, you get 26, and the same with the year 2007. If you remove the two zeros in 2007, you get 27. And mysteriously, in the year 2006, when Gianna Bryant was born, Kobe Bryant was 27. But let's shift gears and further decode other riddles. One of the other characters who've played multiple roles is Kyrie Irving, who once came to us as the character and former NBA player OJ Mayo. Kyrie Irving was born 5 years after the birth of OJ Mayo. Ironically, Kyrie Irving was drafted in 2011, 1 year before OJ Mayo would sign to the Dallas Mavericks, who mysteriously, Kyrie Irving is currently signed with right now. Kyrie was traded to the Dallas Mavericks February 6, 2023. OJ Mayo signed with the Dallas Mavericks July 19, 2012. which makes 11 years. And the number 11 is the jersey number Kyrie Irving elected to wear with the Dallas Mavericks. However, initially when Kyrie was first traded to Dallas, he decided he would switch back to his original jersey number 2. The elites famously speak in codes, so this was the higher-ups once again speaking in their language, but it's simple. 1 and 1 is 11, but 1 plus 1 equals 2. But as mentioned, Kyrie and OJ Mayo are 5 years apart. OJ Mayo signed with Dallas back in 2012. 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 2 equals 5. But many of us never realized how simple and elaborate these riddles are. Most of these NBA trades or trade rumors are like mockery and inside jokes to the elites, such as rumors that Kyrie Irving would sign with the Los Angeles Lakers, supposedly the reuniting of LeBron James and his former teammate he won a ring with, Kyrie Irving. However, this was simply just the elites playing right in our faces. Let me explain. Speaking of Los Angeles, back in 2007, former NBA player OJ Mayo enrolled at USC, which is based in Los Angeles, where the Lakers are located to play basketball. Back in 2007, it was reported that Kobe Bryant's son and got the best of OJ Mayo and Kobe's basketball camp. But what's funny is in a Team USA practice, Kyrie got the better of Kobe and many others. But then there was the almost infamous crossover that never was between Kyrie and Kobe Bryant, which everyone raved about it possibly being another Allen Iverson-Michael Jordan moment. But this is where the sheep was so entertained. They didn't even realize we were witnessing the recurrence of a past memorable moment. Back in 2012, Kyrie nearly crosses Kobe. In 2013, Kobe crosses OJ. But in order for you to fully understand this riddle, we must dig a little deeper into these characters' names and backgrounds. When we think of the name OJ, what is the first name to come to mind? O.J. Simpson. Both O.J. Simpson and O.J. Mayo attended the University of Southern California, and both wore the jersey number 32, which is also LeBron jersey number in reverse. O.J. middle name is James. These characters are creatures playing different roles with mask. O.J. middle name is James, and this is why LeBron, whose last name is James, and LeBron's son, Bronny James, committed to play college basketball for the USC Trojans, and this is why LeBron, whose last name is James, joined forces with Kyrie Irving, and also why Kyrie paired with James Harden, who O.J. Mayo looks like a mixture between Kyrie Irving and James Harden. O.J. Simpson is mostly known for the murder of his girlfriend Nicole Brown. The case was taken to trial. However, O.J. was acquitted of all charges. But I bet most of you are thinking, what the hell does O.J. Simpson have to do with O.J. Mayo and Kyrie Irving? Let me explain. There was another shocking event that had the blacks in an uproar, and that was the Rodney King case. The Rodney King case was an incident where multiple cops, in which most of them were white, were captured on video brutally beating Rodney King. It was said that the Rodney King case was paid back from the justice system for the O.J. Simpson verdict, and him supposedly murdering his white girlfriend. But speaking of the name Rodney, Kyrie's godfather is said to be the former NBA player, Rodney Strickland, better known as Rod Strickland. First name Rodney like Rodney King, and O.J. Simpson like O.J. Mayo. Mayo is short for mayonnaise. In the past, the word Mayo was a derogatory term towards white people, and perhaps with white skin, and O.J. Simpson's wife was a white woman, which I believe this was a play on why O.J. Mayo was given the last name Mayo, and one of the popular Mayo brands is Miracle Whip, and Miracle Whip is exactly what happened to Rodney King. He got a miracle whipping for what O.J. Simpson did to his ex-wife, which then ties into the name Kyrie. It's said that Kyrie's name derives from the name Jesus. And speaking of whippings and beatings, Jesus, like Rodney King, was beaten and whipped, crucified, and unfortunately in the strict land of America, Kyrie, who's named after Jesus, is often crucified, whipped and punished verbally for his free-thinking viewpoints. Kyrie Irving's father, name is Drederick Irving, who once played at Boston University, and oddly enough, Kyrie Irving, after his Cavs stint, was then traded to the Boston Celtics, where he played alongside a player by the name Jason Tatum. The popular animated sitcom The Simpsons, like O.J. Simpson, once had an episode that featured a character by the name Drederick Tatum. It's said on the Phantom animated character's background page, the Drederick was a corruption of the name Frederick, like Frederick Douglass, and like Frederick Douglass, Kyrie is a free thinker as well. But back to Rodney King. The Rodney King incident took place March 3rd, 20 days before Kyrie's B-Day, but back on July 2016, 1 month after Kyrie Irving, alongside Kevin Love, led the Cleveland Cavaliers to an NBA championship. Kobe, like COVID, who was Kyrie's idol and mentor, would retire from the game of basketball. That same year, the NBA would suspend O.J. Mayo for supposedly violating the league's anti-drugging protocol. Ironically, 4 years later, in 2020, and 2 + 2 = 4, but Kyrie would be suspended for electing not to take a medical drug, which was the COVID shot, and Kobe, like COVID, who has a connection to the both Kyrie and O.J. Mayo, would die. Another riddle that took place this past summer was the NBA Finals between the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. The entire playoff series was actually riddled with riddles, get it, and plot twist. The NBA is simply just sports theater, and the fans were watching a movie unfold right before their very eyes. The film was based around star Nikola Jokic, which was partly taken from the film The Joker, which is Jokic's nickname. The film was produced by DC Films, in association with a company by the name Braun Company, which shouldn't be confused with the player LeBron James. The company Braun Creative was founded and launched back in 2010. What's funny is, the company is owned by a family named the Gilberts, and ironically, LeBron James, whose first stint with the Cavs was owned by an owner named Dan Gilbert. Braun left Gilbert and the Cavs back in 2010, which was the year the company Braun Media was founded. And remember, LeBron James has no ownership or stake in the company whatsoever. Mysteriously, LeBron James went up against Nikola Jokic in the 2020 Western Conference Finals 3 years back, as they faced off in the Disney bubble. The name Braun really should be spelled like B-R-A-W-N. What is the definition of a brawn? Brawn means physical strength or muscular strength, and the irony is that LeBron eventually became very strong and put on a lot of muscle. But speaking of 3 years before, the 2020 playoff series ties into the film The Joker. The film The Joker premiered back in 2019, a year before the 2020 NBA playoffs. The plot of the film is about a character named Arthur Fleck, also known as the Joker. Joker was a mentally ill, impoverished party clown and stand-up comedian disregarded by society. Besides the mentally ill part, all of those behavior traits describes Jokic's personality perfectly. Two other characters in the film were named Thomas and his young son Bruce. Ironically, the Nuggets had two players on their team during their playoff run named Thomas Bryant and Bruce Brown. There was also a character in the Joker movie by the name Murray. Murray was a talk show host who is said to have played a role into Joker's downfall. And what's funny is, Nikola Jokic has a teammate named Jamal Murray who played somewhat of a role in Jokic's downfall because Murray got injured. And because Murray got injured in the 2020 Western Conference Finals, it played a huge role into the Nuggets from advancing to the NBA Finals. However, 3 years later, the Nuggets would defeat the Lakers and advance to the NBA Finals and win. The film The Joker came out a year before the 2020 Finals, and it's said the second Joker film will premiere in 2024, a year after the 2023 Finals. The release date of the Joker film was October 4th, 2019. Nikola Jokic married his girlfriend October 24th, 2020, and the lead character in the Joker film birthday is October 28th, 1974. Everything in this life has been scripted by the numbers since the beginning of time. Nikola Jokic wears the jersey number 15, and so did the former Nuggets player Carmelo Anthony as well. Nikola Jokic won his very first NBA championship in the year 2023. If you subtract the number 15 from the year 2023, you get the year 2008, which was the year of the release of the film The Dark Knight, which is a film about the Joker's archenemy, Batman. And speaking of the year 2008, whose star player was number 15 Carmelo Anthony, the Los Angeles Lakers would sweep the Denver Nuggets 4-0, which is exactly what happened to the Lakers in 2023. What a coincidence. One of the more obvious riddles that may have went over the sheep's heads was the Jordan Poole incident, where his teammate Draymond Green threw the infamous punch and hit Poole in the face during a Warriors practice. The Jordan Poole and Draymond incident ties all the way back to a story told about how in a Bulls practice, Michael Jordan punched teammate Steve Kerr in the face, who so happens to be the Warriors coach currently. Ironically, years later, Jordan, like Michael Jordan, but Jordan Poole, would get punched, and Steve Kerr was there to see the entire incident unfold. But that is why it was a running joke throughout the internet that Steve Kerr had flashbacks, which is why they had Steve Kerr on the coaching staff, to make it seem as if this incident came full circle. But this is also why they have Steph Curry on the team as well, and has placed Steph alongside Steve. The name Steve is also a common short form of the name Stephen. The Elites included another hint in the connection to Michael Jordan heading into the 2022 offseason. They signed a player by the name of Michael Green, and Draymond Green's whole name is Draymond Jamal Green. But let's get back to more of the simple riddles, especially when you watch a lot of sports and understand the matrix. The riddles then become so easy to figure out, such as the riddle of Chris Paul and his last name Paul, and the name Anthony and its connection. Chris Paul is mostly known for his State Farm commercials, where he is seen with what seems to be a clone by the name Cliff Paul, LeBron James, who is supposed to be one of Chris Paul's best friend, has a close friend by the name Rich Paul. Also another one of their close friends is Carmelo Anthony. Back in 2017, the OKC Thunder traded for Paul Clifton, Anthony George. The OKC Thunder were looking to form a super team to combat what the Golden State Warriors did with Kevin Durant, so they decided to trade for Carmelo Anthony to pair him with Paul, Cliff, Anthony George, and Russell Westbrook. However, that super team failed epically, as the general manager would break up the team, so they decided to trade all their star players away to rebuild. In 2019, Paul Cliff Anthony George was sent to the Clippers where Chris Paul once played. As OKC would let go Paul George, they would bring in Chris Paul. This riddle ties into the riddle pertaining to the name Anthony, and just like LeBron went up against Paul Clifton, Anthony George, during his early Cavs days, he often faced the Celtics, who had a player by the name Paul Anthony Pierce. He also often faced Paul Millsap in the playoffs, and was said to have got locked up defensively against a player named Kawhi Anthony Leonard. Later in LeBron's career, he would face off against Karl Anthony Towns, whose nickname is Cat, who actually looks like a cat. The player Paul Anthony George had sex with a man, and they had Karl Anthony Towns. The last riddle we'll cover is the Kevin Garnett and Kevin Durant riddle, KD and KG. These two characters are playing the same roles. What throws people off is that the two personalities are very much different. Kevin Garnett portrays himself as tough, mean, aggressive. Kevin Durant is soft, passive, and non-confrontational. Kevin Garnett is 6'11", but is widely accepted to be 7 feet tall. During the 2007 NBA All-Star Game, Garnett admitted in an interview with Craig Sager to be 6'11". Same with Kevin Durant, who is listed as 6'10", but lies about being 7 feet tall. Kevin Garnett played his first 12 seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves before joining the Boston Celtics super team. Back in 2013, Kevin Garnett was then traded to the Brooklyn Nets. A year later in 2014, Kevin Durant would win his first and only regular season MVP, just like KG. Only has one regular season MVP in his entire career. KG won his MVP in 2004. KD would win his in 2014, which made 10 years. If you subtract both the numbers from KD to KG jersey numbers, 35 minus 21, it equals 14. KG graced the cover of NBA 2K back in 2009. 4 years later in 2013, KD would be featured on the cover of NBA 2K13. KG was drafted back in 1995 and chose to wear the jersey number 21. 21 reversed is 12. And 12 years later, 2007, KD was drafted. KG and KD are 12 years apart. If you add up all of their jersey numbers that they wore throughout their careers, you get 70, and 70 reversed is 07, which was the year KD was drafted. 1 year later in 2008, Kevin Garnett would win his very first NBA championship. Fast forward 4 years later, KD reached the finals but lost. What's funny is, the Celtics super team that featured Kevin Garnett was the team that made LeBron James quit and go form the Miami Heat super team back in 2010. 2 years later, in 2012, the Heat super team would reach the finals and defeat the OKC team that featured Kevin Durant. Fast forward to 2016. Kevin Garnett would officially retire with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That summer of 2016, Kevin Durant would form his own super team with the Golden State Warriors, as he would win his very first NBA championship, which made 9 years since KG won his first NBA title. After KD's Warriors run, like KD would join the Brooklyn Nets in 2019. KD would form a super team with Kyrie and James Harden, just like KG formed a super team back in 2007, the year KD was drafted. Fast forward to 2022. KD would surpass KG on the all-time scoring list on November 23, 2022, and back on November 26, 2016, the year KG retired. KD, who played for the Warriors, played against the Timberwolves, the team KG retired with. It's also a running joke that the player Anthony Edwards looks like Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant. Edwards was drafted by the Timberwolves. Kevin Durant, early on in his career, was also compared to a player by the name George Gervin, who once played for a CBA team called the Quad City Thunder back in 1989. And just like Gervin played for the Quad City Thunder, Kevin Durant played for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now you see the importance of why the elites put out those comparisons, but the last name Gervin rhymes with Irving, which is a teammate's last name that KD once played with on the Brooklyn Nets, who is Kyrie Irving. But both KD and Kyrie played for the Brooklyn Nets, and Brooklyn is in New York. And just like Kyrie Irving played for the Brooklyn Nets, Julius Erving played for the New York Nets back in 1973. These rumored NBA trades and off-season signings that never happen are manufactured. It's like mocking the masses, who don't realize that each era is getting the same clone characters playing a different role, with a subtle plot twist. But here's what's crazy. Both Irving and Gervin played for the same CBA team called the Virginia Squires, just like KD and Kyrie played together also. So that's why, when it was said KD and Kyrie could join the Knicks, it's the elites playing on the fact that the same storyline was already played out in the past by one of that player's clone characters. But just like Julius Erving joined the New York Nets, Julius Randle joined the New York Knicks in 2019. But back to Kevin Durant. Both George Gervin and KD are 4-time scoring champions. Also, Kevin Durant currently plays for the Phoenix Suns with a player by the name Devin Booker. And the Suns once had a player named Devin Durant, and Devin wore the jersey number 7, like Kevin. In closing, which further proves that this entire so-called society is a fairy tale, and we're truly in the land of make-believe, is a New York Times article written covering the basketball player Kevin Durant, where the headline reads, "A Basketball Fairy Tale in Middle America." The writer proceeds to compare LeBron James and Kevin Durant to animated-like characters. He says, LeBron looks like something out of a Marvel comic, a sentient pile of muscles. Durant looks like something from a Pixar movie, a humanoid praying mantis. He compares LeBron's decision to a WWE-style show. He then goes on to say Durant, in other words, seems to have been invented in a laboratory beneath the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce.